Yo, yo, welcome, welcome. It's late. It's late. Let's do this. Start with some Fleer. This here, come alone. Oh man, every time I see a Laker, I think it's Kobe. Oh, nice. Good call, Malone.
Good work. Now with this, the machinery doesn't stand a chance against me.
These are very hard to open. Some are very easy. Some are impossible. There we go. Oh, Kevin Garnett, we like. Charles Barkley, we like. Byron Scott, we like. Juwan Howard, we have a bunch. That's the orange one, though, I guess. Clifford Robinson. Percy Hawkins. Chris Webber, nice. That was a good pack.
It's time to say, torch city.
Otis Thorpe. Elijah Wan with the orange. Nice. Jason Kidd. Del Curry. That's cool. Del Curry. Gary Payton. Hell yeah. Really good one. Shaquille O'Neal. Let's go. Oh my God. Double Shaq. Double Shaq. Let's go. Double Orlando Shaq. Double Orlando Shaq. These are my first double Orlando Shaqs. Oh, the new The Forest. Cool. Good pack. All right. Let's do. Oh, this one just fell into the picture. Star Wars Galaxy 2023. But we're going to go Pokemon Perfect Order. Is Splinter Cell? No? Is that Splinter Cell? Pre-digital. Oh yeah, double white. Mega Skarmory. Ooh, Eradicate IR. Ooh, Jakenth. Oh, fire. Oh, there we go. Double white.
What is this place?
Ooh. Mega Clefable. Mega Skarmory. Drippy on type shit. Oh my god, the new Tomb Raider is dinosaurs? Oh, one more pack. Atlantis, Legacy of Atlantis. Let's go, baby. Oh, I got 4 more. Oh, Girl Boss. Girl Boss versus Girl Boss in the new Tomb Raider. Oh! SIR. SIR in the second to last pack. Clefable SIR in the second to last pack. Let's go. Let's go. Clefable second to last pack, baby. Oh my god. Let's go. Clefable SIR. I got to price check that one. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. TCG. Price check. English price guide. Pokemon. Perfect order. Clefable. $80. That'll go up. SIR. Clefable SIR. $80. That'll go up. Last pack. Let's go, baby. Huge hit. 80's really low. That'll definitely go up. Big hit. I got the IR there, or the hyper rare, double rare. Whoa, that game looks nuts. Cool. Big SIR hit. I think I'm going to go Star Wars 2023 now. Or do we want some football and One Piece? Let's go. Are you ready for some football? Cam Miller. Nice. Raiders. Jack Sawyer. Primary colors, Colston Loveland. Ricky Williams. Rich Gannon. Let's go. Is that Ricky Williams, like NFL Street Ricky Williams? Tua and Kenneth Gainwell. Benjamin Morrison. rookie. Gunnar Helm, rookie. Ooh, Phenom, Jackson Dart with the frickin', oh yeah, relic card. Holy shit. Nice. Jackson Haas, blue sapphire. Rookie blue. Braylon Allen. Debo. Craig Rousseau.
An intrusive pattern. Staggering power. Reshaping reality as we know it. Eventually worms its way out.
Rookie. Ooh, Puka. Nakua. Uptown.
Must have had good reasons.
Rookie. Matthew Golden. Rookie recruits. Brandon Ayuk. Love Ayuk. Eli Manning. That's a goodie. Chris Jones. Nice. Patrick Mahomes. There he is. Stud. Jordan James, rookie. Cam Scattabio, rookie. Mark Andrews, nice. Great tight end. Rookies, you're in it for the longevity. So you need the longevity. David Montgomery, Jalen, and Anthony Richardson. Rookie, Jalen Monroe. Rookie, Omari and Hamilton. Who's this rookie blue? Devin Neal. Kenneth Walker, Super Bowl MVP. Marvin Harrison Jr. Derek May. Tyrone Tracy. Nick Scortan, rookie. Arian Smith. James Pierce Jr., rookie. Tyreek Hill and Justin Herbert. Ooh, James Bond first light. Darnell Mooney. Ooh, CeeDee Lamb. Cool. By far the best card is this Phenom relic of Dart. Coolridge Gannon, too. Some other good stuff. Uptown. Rookie deck bag, all the rookies. Rookie bag. Rookie bag. All right. Cool. All right. Oh man, I want to do that old school NFL. Let's do One Piece. Brand new One Piece. Brand new. One foil Sanji, one foil Shura. Okay. Weird. Oh, there. Ooh, let's go. Enel. Let's check price check on Island Nell. Oh, Nell's got a lot. $60. Secret rare alt? Yeah. No, secret rare. Holy crap. He has a manga too. Damn. Really good $60 secret rare hit. Alright, cool. Alvida. Rob Lucci. Super. Let's see how much supers are. Just $1. Who's up? Krieg Super. $2. 2 gold. Let's check Mama Rogan. What? $8? Holy crap. $8 Mama Rogan. Crazy. Look out for the goldies. Foil Dawn, Luffy. Okay. Says 40 cents. Oh, no. No. No way. No way. No way. No way. Are you fucking kidding me? My second manga in a week? Oh, no way. I was even going to say, because I got the secret and now does that mean there's a manga in there? What the fuck? Let's go. $1,200. $1,200 manga. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Oh my god. Oh my god. I have the hiccups too. Some people got to see this. Oh my god. No one's even watching. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's my second manga in freaking a week. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. Slow exploration and implied horror. The sequel is built from the ground up as a horror-first survival action. Oh my god, my second manga? Well, my fifth. In a week, my second manga in a week. The few survivors you encounter aren't just eccentric, they're broken, unstable, and dangerous in their... That's going to go up because it's literally day 1. Isolation and vulnerability, which comes through clearly in your gameplay. Oh my god, I'm just texting. Holy shit. Sorry, I'm just texting. I don't necessarily consider that toxic. I just consider that passionate. The last 10 years should have been a golden age for everything. I'm on manga fire, baby. Manga fire. Manga fuego. I'm putting this up with the others. Fifth manga.
this is because they had money to burn. Unfortunately, that's exactly what they did. And in the case of the Rings of Power, they're still doing it. But aside from the Rings of Power, I would say the second most embarrassing failure belongs to Netflix's The Witcher, which to date Netflix has spent roughly $750 million on, including $250 million, that's a quarter of $1 billion to you and me, on seasons 4 and 5. And the reason they bypassed the opportunity to print money to instead go straight to burning it has everything to do with the overcorrection in the post-Me Too era with the feminization of traditionally masculine intellectual properties. Something at first a lot of people denied, but now it is unquestionable. Case in point, The Witcher, which rose to prominence here in the States through video games. There was some excitement with the announcement of Henry Cavill playing Geralt of Rivia after he got screwed over by Warner Brothers. Little did we know at the time that he'd get screwed over by Netflix too. Let's be real, the excitement wasn't long-lived once we got that first reveal of Henry as Geralt, which admittedly was universally mocked on the internet. And of course, there was questions with the costuming, particularly that Nilfgaardian ballsack armor. That was followed by some questionable casting choices and all of those feminist writers who were assembled by Netflix's hand-picked Lauren Schmidt-Israel, who said this back in 2020 about her version of The Witcher. I think the audiences mostly know girls in video games. The young people are trying to play against the books very simply, and it's that the video games are based on the books. They are an adaptation.
Oh my God.
It didn't make sense to make an adaptation of an adaptation of
Oh, Rebecca Super.
just a few years later, she was really telling us what she was going to do. What that does is allow us to tell the Witcher story, but in just a different way. I think a lot of video game fans are concerned that we're taking something from them.
Oh wow, 12, 13 for Rebecca.
And the truth is, I love the video games. They're not going anywhere. They're insanely successful, and I can only hope that our show is that successful. The video games aren't going anywhere, and the books aren't going anywhere. This is just a third way to enjoy these same characters in this same world. That may sound familiar to you, and you will find out why later on in this video. Version of The Witcher, one that led to Henry Cavill leaving, one that was the very definition of the Netflix adaptation. Welcome to the supercut of the epic failure of The Witcher. The bad news keeps coming, and it gets worse. First, I'd like to welcome the over 630,000 of you joining me on this journey down the rabbit hole of common sense extremism. Before this video, you heard from the very popular actor, not adult pretender, Henry Cavill, and we will hear more of his wisdom later. Now, let's recap the series of events that just happened over the last few months that put the Witcher firmly in DOA status. There certainly has been a lot of hope around these parts. It has been
Oh,
brilliant, and I'm not
Nami rare, nice.
but it's just another
Ooh, Luffy.
in the year of the Hollywood reckoning of get woke, go broke, and then beg your fans to still watch the show. Now, the first in these series of events comes from former Witcher writer.
Oh my God, that's a
Writer recalls staff actively mocking the source material.
the Nami rare is $2. I wonder why.
Noticed by diehard fans in the show. The same diehard fans that were called the same thing.
See Luffy.
Every time we legitimately criticize something. Although Andrei Sapkowski, the by Poland's The Witcher, didn't really.
Oh my God, $100 alt secret. $100 alt secret. So I have a 50, 100, and a 1200. Oh my God.
Set out to do something similar, following the book's story, but changing certain themes, moments, plot lines, and the overall personality of some
Oh my
characters
God.
to suit its need. In other words, completely changing the source material. Those changes do require you have to respect the work before you're allowed to add to its legacy, as writer Bo DeMeo commented during a recent Instagram Q&A session via Sci-Fi and Fantasy Gazette. Something found lacking in The Witcher, since some of the writers were not fans or actively disliked the books and games, even actively mocking the source material. It's a recipe.
Oh my God.
No surprise then, within days of this article, we heard this. Liam Hemsworth is replacing Henry Cavill for The Witcher Season 4. There is in this series, it's dead.
All right.
Guys, it's a well, my friends, it seems the mad scientists at Delta have done it again with their new X76. Because this time they took a helicopter, a stealth fighter, and Outpost, put all their DNA in a test tube, just shook it up and said, let's see what happens. The whole reason this thing is going viral right now is because of this post here.
Gum Gum Golden Rifle?
It's entering into a new build phase, and it demonstrates what's called runway independent
No.
high-speed flight, meaning you can have your shape and snort it too. But you don't need a runway to have high-speed flight anymore. To get straight to the point, it unlocks just a ton of new ways to kill people, and today we're going to examine that. SOCOM's X-76 Beast Mode is outfitted with missiles and guns that make all the other vertical takeoff systems poor. It's got its revolutionized front-wing support capabilities, logistics, and air assault missions in the Pacific Theater against the Chinese CCP. It'll give you all kinds of new ways to kidnap dictators. The reason the Pentagon is interested in this aircraft is because it solves a major vulnerability in modern warfare. But before we get into that, this video is sponsored by LIVESTREAM. If you're interested in a career in building and repairing firearms or joining the growing drone industry, you need some more Desert Institute. They offer online degrees
Lightning Dragon?
that cover a variety of firearms and drone-related topics. At SDI, you can learn how to build platforms like bolt guns, ARs, 11, and even pump platforms. SDI's updated programs now include training with an actual physical human home for hands-on work. They offer an Associate of Science in Firearms Technology or a Certificate in Uncrewed Technology area.
Brock Super?
Desert Institute is an accredited online college that helps students build real skills for careers in the firearms and drone industry.
SBI is worth it. If you put in the work, you'll get what you want out of it.
SBI offers flexible online programs with hands-on components that can be completed at home. They have experienced faculty and student success teams. Learn more by clicking my link in the description down below or the pinned comment about the All of the airbases are extremely easy to target by ballistic missiles. So in both the Pacific and the European theater, the first thing China and Russia would try to destroy are long runways using their ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drone swarms. We saw Iran just did the same thing in the Middle East. So modern fighters and transport aircraft, they rely on those runways to operate. If the runway is cratered, though, the aircraft can't take off. So in the Pacific theater, that means that U.S. forces will be able to now move troops, supplies, and special ops units between all of the different
Ooh.
small islands. that
Damn, super rare Nami.
miles of ocean in the Pacific without having to rely on vulnerable air bases. An X-76 is able to launch from a small island base in the Philippines, fly hundreds of miles at airplane
7.
jet speeds, land vertically on another remote island or ship without needing any kind of runway. It can carry precision-guided missiles like AGM-114 Hellfires or small glide bombs and guided rockets. You got a
3 more.
300 cannon on there for that. Estimates are that it can carry roughly 4,000 pounds, about 1,800 kilograms of payload, which is less than the Black Hawk. Yes, about half, I believe, but it has that increased speed.
Zoro Super?
Full squad of infantry, about 8 Hellfire missiles. In Europe, the aircraft could be used for rapid troop deployment. These things would quickly get to the NATO lines for your special operator raids that are deep in contested territory. Units are able to disperse more across forests, farms, and any kind of highway networks instead of having to.
Nice. $8 for that.
X-76 aircraft really takes its heart from back in the day with that Operation Eagle Claw against Iran. The whole idea is penetrating deep
Last pack.
Iran. That was the objective. They need to be able to fly fast but take off from anywhere. So this idea fits into the Pentagon's broader strategy today, known as distributed operations.
I'll whip you into shape. Ooh.
Across many smaller locations instead of relying on a few big bases. In the Western
Wow.
Hemisphere,
Manga box. Manja, manja, manja. Manja, manja. Well, That was nuts. I got more. I'm opening more. Don't worry. I'm opening more. Don't worry.
Which is quick to learn, be very mobile and fast-moving criminal networks. But the problem is the technology of the X-76 has never really truly been fully fielded before the war, and previous attempts, you might remember, to do something similar to this ended in abject failure. Unfortunately, DARPA's motto has always been, if at first you don't succeed, drop another $1 billion of taxpayer money on it. And the X-76 comes at a crucial turning point in Army aviation as well, because the Army just cut over 6,000 pilot positions in the service, and they appear to be, in some ways, trying to reduce some dependence on the rotary aircraft like the Apache. So the top brass are all now starting to question if they really need to put highly trained pilots in harm's way when drone technology is getting better every day. However, the new X-plane...
Oh, shit.
Don't do that, fam. Defense against the dark arts, fam. It's time for spell check. The one goes. Ironic that Harry was a whore when his mother was a whore and his dad was a cuck. Expelliarmus on your missus. Kisses come simple on the youth. Snake dog never misses.
Chasing different prototypes for decades. Transition has always been when switching from hardware to flight, what happens is basically that rotor lift decreases essentially you get a very unstable aircraft with physics and other things that are always in control. But that was when both of the X-50 prototypes crashed during that transition phase. That's the main issue. The problem is that that transition phase has always proven extremely difficult. The new X-76 follows that same phase. Which very engineered take and failed design for the prototype. How does it work? They combine experts with members of the atmosphere for takeoff and landing, and they roll missiles as well as actually throwing out the sky. or flight regimes. New fly-by-wire controls that have digital inputs instead of gears turning are better, and there's new materials that allow for lighter folding rotor systems that are more reliant. This all has the effect of reducing the weight penalties that have plagued earlier designs. It's an ambitious design choice that introduces all kinds of extra engineering complexity, not the least of which I think is switching from one type of propulsion system to a whole different type while already mid-flight. But if it were that easy, then Delta wouldn't be heading up the project. And Bell and Textron have already shown that they can deliver the goods, because back in February 2024, Bell showed off their high-speed sled test at home Force Base. This successfully showed transitioning from turboprop to jet-powered engines, even immediately folding the rotor blades back for reduced drag. There's a joke somewhere in there about time and drag. That same December 2024, Bell's prototype also completed wind tunnel tests at the National Institute for Aviation Research, which goes to show how fast the development process has been going and how high of a priority the HSV is for DARPA.
Ooh.
And any other acronym out there. Jason Hurst, the executive VP of engineering at Bell Textron, said Bell's advanced stop-fold family of systems revolutionized the speed, range, and survivability of vertical lift aircraft to equal operations in contested environments. And it makes sense that SOCOM would be the ones leading the charge on the new combat transport technology, because many American operators depend on helicopters for many types of famous rapid precision insertion combat missions, like when they yoinked out and smoked Osama bin Laden and they snatched Maduro, for instance. I mean, that was a daring snatch and grab that the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment used even then special variants of the MH-60, the MH-6 Little Bird, the MH-7 Chinook, and Black Hawk, and special versions of all those helicopters. And I'm assuming the 160th would have their own version of the X-76 or M-76 but it supported Delta Force operators that have conducted many raids as well. So then, just on March 9th, very recently, of this year in 2026, Bell's design passed the critical design review process and received their official X-plane designation from DARPA as that beautiful X-76. The CDR review validates and finalizes a project's design, meaning that the X-76 has a mature blueprint that's ready for fabrication and flight testing by early 2028, and that means that Bell's model has also demonstrated its stability and control during the
Power and force.
transition process, which is one of the hardest design challenges facing this style of dual propulsion aircraft. Press X at this point to gallop if you don't buy it.
Ooh, serialized.
What's interesting, I think, about the X-76 is that X-planes, the X-planes
5575.
don't enter into service by themselves. Instead, they kind of have always had this tradition of pioneering new technologies that shift the entire field.
BB serialized, nice. 39 of 50. Ooh, Darth Maul cereal, let's go. Darth Maul cereal, I love it. Really good card, 19 of 77. Oh, that's such a good card. It opens the door for a system that doesn't depend on large, easily targeted airfields in the Pacific, because long-range drones and ballistic missile threats in the Pacific are horrific. After seeing what even a limited and less competent Iranian IRGC ballistic force could accomplish in the Middle East, we can assume it would be far worse in the Pacific against China. And so dispersing American air assets and striking from unexpected places is now key to survivability. And that gets to the heart of the new paradox within the U.S. service branches. In a recent article from the Modern War Institute at West Point, strategists Matthew Revel and Eric warn that the Army might be overlearning the lessons from the war in Ukraine. Because yes, cheap yet effective drones have changed the face of warfare, that's true. It's allowed both sides of the Ukraine conflict to strike at both frontline and rear targets in ways that used to require expensive cruise missiles. The proliferation of new drone tactics turned what was supposed to be a swift Russian victory into what has become a grinding World War II tragedy. The article goes on to state that the Department of War's recent drone dominance Merrick autograph. Serialized. Serialized green, 59 of 99.
Russia.
BB-8 autograph.
American military's greatest strength is its ability to use air, land, and sea power together to sustain rapid maneuvers at all levels of combat, more so than any other
Nice.
competitor. They say, quote, as the Army seeks to deepen its integration of small drones in the planning, it risks undermining the air of integration it has placed at the center of the way of war. That shift in U.S. military doctrine that they warn about is already having a big impact on soldiers and especially airmen. The U.S. Army announced last year that it was cutting a full fifth of its aviation branch in favor of unmanned systems. In a letter to the Air Force, Secretary of Army Dan Driscoll and Chief of Staff General Randy George, they explained that the dramatic reduction was necessary to evolve the Army in a new era. He says that, quote, dual-use technologies are continuously evolving and outpacing our processes to defeat them, to maintain our edge on the battlefield. Our Army will transform to a leaner, more lethal force by adapting how we fight, train, organize, and buy equipment. But as the Army announced plans to bring its uncrewed versions of the legendary Black Hawk helicopter, students at the Army's helicopter flight school, they reacted with more than a little skepticism. One anonymous aviator said, "We're cooked. Why are we even doing this for real? I'd like to believe the future won't include completely offloading aerial resupply and air assault missions to unmanned aircraft, but maybe that's my bias." Another said, "I think the bigger challenge is integrating technology inevitably to reduce risk to soldiers without losing the generational knowledge required to fly these complex systems." Just like the West Point Finkeys, Army aviators are concerned that the Pentagon is getting too distracted by so new tech, and that they might be suckered into believing the hype that drones can do it all. Helicopters in the war in Ukraine have a real X-76 could change that trend and give U.S. pilots a leg up. Bell currently plans to use remote control for the X-76 during that dangerous in-flight testing phase. It is that the dual propulsion technology could scale up to manned aircraft once the teething problems are worked out. The extra speed and range of the jet, plus cutting the cord that ties current manned aircraft to large airfields, gives the U.S. military a lot more flexibility on where to deploy and how to use its pilots. That would be the best of both worlds. Adapting the way we fight to the drone age, but without sacrificing the highly trained, skilled, and experienced best pilots. Whether the X-76 actually works or ends up being just another billion-dollar aviation science experiment is still an open question. But if God pulls us off, if we completely change how the U.S. military moves troops and fights wars in contested environments, and someone right now, a Chinese or Russian military planner, is probably hoping those rollerblades never unfold. If you like this video, check out this one here or this playlist. I'm your average fisherman, Chris Cappy, ending transmission.
This is one of the most powerful jet engines in the world. It actually runs at temperatures 250 degrees Celsius hotter than the melting point of the materials that make it up, 1200 degrees. So the question is, why doesn't a jet engine just melt into a puddle? We are right at the boundaries of the laws of physics. Well, it's the same temperature now as it would be inside the jet engine. If the heat is a liquid,
How about getting a plane that big and never gonna work?
And yet, it does work. Right now, there are over 10,000 planes in the sky.
Okay.
Maybe you're on one right now. So, how do they work? This is a jet engine, specifically a turbofan engine. At the front is this giant fan. During takeoff, these rotating blades push 1.3 tons of air backwards every second, and around 10% of that air gets compressed. The compressors force the air into increasingly narrow chambers. They compress the air to about 50 times atmospheric pressure. And just by doing that, the air heats up to around 600 degrees Celsius. This compressed air is then forced into the combustion chamber, where fuel is sprayed in through a ring of nozzles and ignited. That chemical reaction gives off a lot of heat, so the temperature jumps to around 1500 degrees Celsius. So now you've got this high pressure gas from the combustor that just wants to expand, and now it's got an incredible amount of thermal energy. But between the combustion chamber and the outside air is this, rows of turbine blades. So in order for the gas to expand and get out, it needs to push these turbine blades out of the way. And in pushing the blades, that is how it transfers its energy to the engine. This is where all the power really comes from. In modern jets, on takeoff, each high-pressure turbine blade is generating as much power as a Formula One car. And there are 68 of them.
As the gas rushes through the turbine and nozzle, its pressure drops from around 50 atmospheres down to 1, and it expands by almost 20 times. And that spins these blades up to 12,500 revolutions per minute. The fan that is pushing all that air backward and all those compressors that squeeze the air down, all of that is powered by the turbines back here. It's a kind of funny, really counterintuitive way to think about an engine. It's what's happening in the back that's actually driving everything up front. As the hot exhaust gas is shot out the back of the engine, it pushes the engine forward.
All right, last box.
Did you know that in a modern passenger jet, this accounts for less than 20% of the thrust of the engine? The vast majority of the thrust, over 80% of it, comes from that big fan at the front of the jet. Remember how only 10% of the incoming air gets compressed? The other 90% bypasses all that. It's simply propelled backwards by the fan, goes right around the guts of the engine, and comes straight out the fan. The fan pushes that air backwards, so the air pushes the fan forward. That's how you get 80% of the thrust completely sucked into the propeller. So why do it this way? Why not compress all the incoming air and put it all through the combustion chamber and turbines? Well, some fighter jets do exactly this, and it makes for very powerful engines. But they're also horribly inefficient. To see why, remember that in free fall, this airplane forward is equal to the speed and the movement of the air backwards. So you've got options. For example, you could push twice as much air back half as fast, or you could push half as much air back twice as fast. Both will generate the exact same impact, but the kinetic
Which cards are those?
proportional to v squared. So it takes 4 times as much energy to speed up the air in the second case. And a lot of that energy is just wasted in the exhaust. So ideally, you want to push as much air backwards as possible with only a small change in velocity. That's why jets have gotten bigger and bigger over the years. And the increasing fraction of bypass air has the honestly, this change.
Oh, wow.
Gone are the days where you had to
Robert Porcher, MVP.
get any kind of interaction. With the new
Darway
sound,
Scott,
everything is now fully procedural. Welcome to
Michael
Blender
Westbrook,
Maker. And in today's video, we're looking at
Derek
some of the
Mays,
features coming to Blender 5.2, from texture caching and indirect
Antonio
to
Freeman,
much more. But let's start with sound, because this one is a game changer. Taking a
Chad
look at some
Brown,
amazing demos from Cartesian Caramel on Twitter, the workflow is surprisingly straightforward. You drop the audio into the video sequence editor. Then inside geometry nodes, the sample sound node lets you pick that clip directly. From there, you can isolate frequencies in different data channels and use them to drive geometry or shapes. It finally makes it trivial to build those classic 90s media player visualizers right inside the image. If you want to see how accurate these setups are to the actual sound, check the link below, because yeah, copyright is not our friend in music. Now moving on to something a bit more technical.
Brian Dawkins, baby.
Texture caching and cycles. If you've ever run out of memory mid-render, this is going to feel like a lifesaver. Normally, an 8K texture gets fully loaded into memory, even if the render only needs a fraction of it. With this new system, Blender dynamically reduces texture resolution to only what's needed. And in some cases, it only loads
Kerry Collins,
the texture is higher. That means lower memory usage,
Tony Martin,
faster render startup times, since there's less data to
Damon Howard.
What's even more interesting is that this also applies to procedural and mixed textures.
Keenan McCardell,
The feature is still early and a bit rough around the edges, but those rough edges actually reveal how it works. You can literally see textures missing or updating in real time as the cache builds.
Dorsey Levens,
On the sculpting side, there's a new addition that's going to quietly become a favorite, the project brush. It behaves a lot like the shrink wrap modifier, but in brush form.
Torrance Small,
Onto underlying surfaces. This opens up some really clean workflows.
Jeff
Things like
Blake,
armor, clothing details, or any
Des
object that
White,
needs to conform naturally
Samari
to the
Roll.
surface. It's also surprisingly useful for things like footprints, dents, or even stump details without setting up complex simulations. There's a volume preservation option built in, which prevents your mesh from collapsing into a thin mesh while projecting. And in some cases, you can even use it as a rough recompilable tool. It's simple, but it solves a lot of annoying problems.
Oh,
He is also getting some
Steve Young, baby. Steve frickin' Young.
For the longest time, Unreal Engine with Lumen has had a clear advantage in real-time rendering, but Eevee is trying to close that gap. One of the standout changes is the ability to independently control direct and indirect lighting intensity. That might sound small, but it gives you a lot more artistic control over how light behaves in your scene. Demos from Gleb Alexander
Matthew.
show just how powerful this can be, especially when you
Look at that. Look at that foil. Isaac Bruce, that foil.
On top of that, there are
Very cool.
ambient occlusion improvements to texture sampling, LOD scaling, and a bunch of under-the-hood upgrades that collectively make Eevee feel a lot more solid.
Very cool.
A bit unexpected. Blender running on an iPad. While official development was paused in favor of Android,
Trevor
the
Baylor.
open source nature of Blender means anyone can pick it up and push it forward. That's exactly what
Whoa.
Sergey Almazov is doing.
Plaxico Burris, nice.
It's not fully polished yet, but it's getting close. And honestly,
No way, John
it makes
Lynch.
a lot of sense.
Oh my God.
Huge number of Blender
Plaxico Burris, John Lynch.
texture painting translate perfectly for portable touch-based effects. With millions of iPad users out there, this could open the door to a completely different way of using Blender on the go. If you're curious, you can already reach out and try it.
John Lynch.
It's one of those projects that feels like it could quietly become a big deal. If you've been following my Blender UI redesign, you already know I've been adding a bunch of new features and improvements. And one of the biggest ones is a new scatter tool. When you use it, it generates points based on different values.
Ryan Leaf.
A plane, a circle, or a box. Those points can then be turned into instances. All you have to do is select the objects you want to use, head over to the instance tab, and add them in. If you want to remove
Bobby
them,
Ingram.
it's just forward. Select the object, select the points, and hit remove selection. The operator can scatter objects randomly, but you still have full control after the fact. You can
Jamal Anderson.
add new ones by painting, or even go in and tweak things manually by moving points, rotating them, or scaling
Travis
them.
Prentice.
This is just the beginning. There's a lot more coming to this tool. If you want to test the add-on, you can grab it from my Patreon or Gumroad using the links in the description. And while you're at it, check out the free image editor as well. It now supports custom masks and procedural textures. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Blender 5.1 has just been officially released, and it includes some awesome new features, with most of the focus being on quality of life enhancements, stability, and polish, after the devs just finished up another round of Fear of Quality. I'm Jonathan Lampel from cgcookie.com, and in this video, we're going to talk all about it. First up, font filling for text objects is now significantly better, so the types of fonts you can use in 3D are no longer so limited. Filling in general is now up to 5 times faster, especially for endons with many sides. When it comes to snapping, you can now snap to the center of spaces. You can now choose to direct the normal or switch spaces when defining an object to fill. When selecting one loop, there's now a redo panel, and you can choose where that loop ends, such as at seams or sharp edges. When the loop is a boundary loop, you can control whether it passes through inner corners, outer corners, or endons. When the loop is a face loop or edge ring, you can even stop at material boundaries. While beveling, you can now hold down control.
Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp, let's go.
You can now reliably use the view panel to adjust vertex slide. Unview in edit mode is now 50 to 30% faster. The exact Boolean solver can be up to 35% faster for meshes with lots of attributes, and the manifold solver is slightly faster as well. For reference, this object is almost 500,000 triangles. Curve fitting is now more accurate, which gives better results when drawing freehand Bezier curves. The curves also now have more
Doug Flutie.
statistics overlay. The lasso, box, and circle selection tools were added to the curves sculpt mode. In the UV editor, you can now select everything inside of any given medium tile, and there's a new edge opacity slider to match the face opacity slider. In mesh sculpting mode, strips and faces are better handled when masked.
Bledsoe, baby.
You can now toggle
Let's go.
brush by alt left clicking, or toggle to mask erasing with control alt left click. You can now cancel a stroke while painting by hitting escape. The asset shelf icons can now go as small as 24 pixels. A blur brush for colors was added to sculpt mode. You can now add sampled colors to the palette
Travis Taylor.
with Shift X and left click. Sampling colors in vertex paint mode now reads the attribute color directly rather than the viewport color that might have a view transform. And color sampling in any mode now supports dragging to get an average of the colors you draw over for easy blending. Changing things like selection and which texture is active in texture paint.
Kevin Falk.
Undone with Control Z. In modifying face sets or masks, the overlay port will be turned on if it isn't already, so that you always see what you're doing.
Oh, what's that?
Images checkbox with closing
Highlight reel, Eddie George, baby.
always on by default. In weight paint mode, you can now select loops when using vertex selection. In the joke sheet, interpolation line colors now indicate the interpolation type. This is also true in menus. The timeline now looks much nicer when you have substrings enabled, and the marker reader.
Fred Taylor, hell yeah.
A new replace action operator swaps out an action for
Terrell Davis and Fred Taylor.
The graph editor now has a nice smooth modifier for non-destructive smoothing, though it needs to be first in the modifier tab. A new apply to basis operator for shape keys can apply to deformations of a selected key and then remove it, all in one step. And last but certainly not least, the performance of actions and shape keys is significantly faster. Depending on the file, you can get anywhere from 4% to 304% improvement in frames per second. Blender's 2D animation tool got a pretty big upgrade in that it can now finally support holes and shapes. This means you can import SVGs and PDFs without any weirdness, the fill tool just works, and you don't have to use holdout materials as a workaround. As part of this overhaul, whether lines are fills or strokes is now an attribute of the line itself rather than a material property. You can choose between fills and strokes while drawing new lines, choose which to remove when deleting, set the type with an operator, join multiple strokes into the same fill or separate them out, and select the thing that makes up the fill. Oh, and performance from very long strokes has improved, and the ability to make a lattice object apparent during a lattice deform was added back in. In geometry nodes, a new bone info node allows you to get the transform data of any bone in an armature. Combine this with your attribute constraint from the last release, and you can now both rig your nodes and node your rigs. There are 6 new rig nodes for creating and manipulating volume. You can use them to create volume grids from scratch, expand or contract the number of cells, and navigate and convert the cells into points. These are going to be great specifically for simulations. The font and various menu inputs for the string to curves node are now sockets and can be used as group inputs. There's also a new handy output for the word index. There are new get and
Ooh, Troy Aikman autograph. Troy Aikman autograph.
combine the entire bundle just to use one property. You can even use slashes to access properties in nested bundles. The UV unwrap node now
Holy crap.
graphics and the no flip option. The Patch UV Islands node can now tap into a custom region. Control F can now be used to search for warnings. A new matrix SVD node can be used for singular value decomposition of 3x3 matrices. This may not sound thrilling, but one of the
Andrew
most
Glover.
is finding the minimum bounding box and its orientation for any set of
James
nodes, which is
Johnson.
going to be extremely helpful in all sorts of things.
Hart.
And if you're making your own node tools, each one now has its own registered operator, which makes it easy to call with Python or assign hotkeys to. There's a new shader in Blender 5.1 for ray
Chad
tracing.
Pennington.
This one is pretty incredible because it allows for so many effects, from making custom subsurface scattering, creating NPR outline, creating fake shadows, and blending objects together. Just when you're using Eevee, the rays in screen space, and feathers is in the world space. Normal map nodes can now be switched to reading the DirectX format. Eevee got new sliders for adjusting the intensity of direct and indirect light. Eevee reflection planes now support glossy materials again. The Shader 2 RGB node now works with transparency again. The maximum number of AOVs, the arbitrary output variables for compositing, was bumped to 128. Also, the AOV list in the properties editor now shows the socket color it has in the compositor. The light path node now works in world shaders. HDR environments can be locked in the material preview mode to act more like matte paths, like they could in older Blender versions. The initial material compilation and EV is now significantly faster thanks to free-for-all testing and some parallelization, and in some cases, this cuts the wait time in half. EV also
Rob Woodson.
via texture cooling, which really helps reduce the amount of VRAM needed for a scene. So now you can render bigger scenes on your same graphics card. It's awesome to see optimizations like this, and really the whole 5.1 release for EV has been all about directly addressing community feedback, which is very cool to see. For Cycles, GPU performance has improved 5 to 10% for a lot of scenes, and HIP RT ray tracing is now
Jerry Rice. Jerry freaking Rice and Torrey Holt back to back. Jerry Rice, baby.
For light objects, animators always use nodes now. In the video sequence editor, you can now click and drag with the blade tool
Torrey
to
Holt.
ripple cut sections. You can also hold shift, keep the gaps, and not ripple. The speed control script can now use negative multiple values to reverse footage. A new clock icon is shown on scripts that have been retimed, and you can now hide the retiming keys. The time property panel was also cleaned up, and the property names now make much more sense.
Oh,
Shift S, which snaps the selection to the playhead, now keeps the scripts offset.
Rashid Ismail autograph.
Holding control when scaling or rotating the preview area now snaps to even increments. Sound scripts have new modifiers for non-destructively editing the pitch and echo. Meta scripts, the scripts that contain other scripts, now have a master volume setting. Soloing scripts using the right-click select key map is now shift left-click, so scrubbing with left mouse drag is a bit easier. For left-click select users like me though, soloing is still shift right-click. A new sequencer script info node in the compositor allows you to make some great perceived effects that work on any script out of the box. Having those frame numbers now is a huge power unlock. You can also create new sequencer modifier node trees directly from the compositor. And speaking of compositing, the default workspace now uses an image editor at the top and has the node backdrop disabled. A new mask to
Shannon Sharp.
which lets you turn black and white masks into gradients and find the nearest pixel inside the mask, both of which are extremely powerful. The index, switch, radial tiling, boolean input, integer input, and vector input nodes were all added to match the shader and geometry node editors. The mix node now mixes the alpha channel when mixing the colors,
Rakim.
and it's also true in all the other node editors as well. The relative depiction node now works with image and mask inputs and not just single values, which makes it easy to do variable blur effects. The movie distortion node, which adds or cancels out lens distortion based on the lens set in the movie,
Rich Gannon.
has modes now better
Troy Brown.
and make the effect more reversible. Plus, the new lens distortion model now supports anamorphic lenses. The image and file output nodes can now write custom metadata. The file output node regains the ability to use slashes in file names to write to subfolders. The humble group input node was optimized and can sometimes improve the animation performance of an effect by about 30%. The glare, directional blur, lens distortion, anti-alias, blur, and vector blur nodes were all sped up too, between 20%.
Babe, obviously I'm just joking, and it's funny, and I'm just trying to do it for fun. But do you not really understand the difference between just saying, I love it to something, and I love your, and you make it's making it possessive to me. That's like a huge difference. Not in, like, actually, but like when you're talking about stuff. If I just say, I love it, that has no effect. But if I am talking about you to you and I say, I love your necklace, that's way different, right? Like, you understand that principle. That's all I was saying. Doesn't actually matter.
Command in the outliner now has a nice search menu. And these object data block menus now show the object type icons. Color picker now supports autocomplete. So you can
Hey, obviously I'm just joking, and it's funny.
You can now use cover, copy, and paste to rename things in nested lists. The preferences editor now has a search box, so you can quickly find settings and key map items. 3D mouse navigation has a new drone mode that will change altitude at the same time as forwards and backwards. You can now update all of your extensions with one click, and extensions that have updates now show the current and pending version number. You can now finally copy and paste nodes between different instances of Blender, and when possible, this also works between different node editor types. So if you have math nodes or textures and geometry nodes, you can easily copy them into shaders or the compositor or vice versa. The swap node command, Shift S, allows swapping between similar zones while keeping the software. Does the same for bundle nodes, and you can now maintain object references. Node headers can now be made semi-transparent if you want. The node interface list now supports selecting multiple items for dragging and dropping or deleting. Float
I
sockets
love
can now have
every
a mask
interview
section.
so
The
much.
node panel is cleaned up a bit,
And I hope you have a good breakfast.
and hiding options.
And I want to watch you make your protein shake because I love it.
But you can turn that off in preferences if you want to. On Linux, you can now open Blender.
And I want to play Eldavers with you and hear your voice and see
As usual,
you.
I got a ton of good promotion improvements. So I just talked about the bigger ones here, but there were over 90 changes that didn't even include the
And I want to watch you make
so
your protein
Blender
shake
5.1 is looking better.
because I love it.
Asset libraries can now be individually disabled in preferences. The asset browser now uses fuzzy searches so you can hit spell things and still find what you're looking for. On Mac, the file browser now supports high-quality drives. For Windows, user fonts are now showing alongside the system fonts, and drives can now use different icons. Deleting a link then now supports redo and not just undo. A new image file format, AVIF, is now supported. Fully handles HDR data,
Bubba Franks.
PNG, and is already widely supported by most web browsers and image apps. OpenEXR files can now use a new lossless encoding option called HTJ2K, High Throughput JPEG 2000. It's great compression, but not yet widely supported by all of their software. Saving JPEG 2000s themselves is now multi-threaded. Video encoding can now use a custom quality level, and the audio bitrate can now be set up to 2048 kilobytes a second, depending on the codec.
Hey, George.
Limited to 348. USB importing and exporting now supports the USB UI accessibility API and transparency and translucency for the USB preview surface. The exporter now writes index UV
Troy Vincent.
to separate each space into different islands when importing into certain other apps. And there's a new get trim map API, pinform mapping between Blender objects and USB frames. The FBX exporter now exports shape key normals, which is great for importing objects with shape keys into Unity and Godot. GLTF got 4 nice fixes. And that, along with hundreds of bug fixes,
Wayne Corbett and Amari Toomer.
you can download it today from blender.org, and don't forget to support the development funnel while you're there to help make future updates even better. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and as always, happy blending. Blender 5.0 has just been officially released, and the list of changes this time is genuinely insane in the best way possible. It's just been a few short months since the last release, and yet the developers have managed to pack in so many big exciting changes, as well as address some of the most important points of community feedback from the last several years. So I'm really excited about this one, and trust me, once you try it, you're not going to want to go back. I'm Jonathan Rantel from CG50.com, and in this video, let's take a look at everything that's new in Blender 5.0.
3 more.
There are a lot of new modeling changes to get excited about in Blender 5.0. First, a brand new modifier that has come out in a long time, and these are actually built with geometry nodes under the hood. We don't have time to cover every
James Stewart.
but in short, there's a new array which has gizmos
Tim
for
Couch.
interactively adjusting it, support
It's
for
crazy.
circular arrays, full control over randomization, and
Tony Banks.
the result as instances to improve performance. Not all features of the legacy array modifier are supported, such as start and end caps, UV offsets, and the ability to merge just the start and end without affecting the middle. But this and all other node-based modifiers will continue to be improved in future Blender versions as geometry nodes becomes more powerful. And in the meantime, the legacy array is still there. The instance on elements modifier can be used to add instances of other objects on vertices, edges, or faces. Scatter on surface
Edrin James.
instances, but is more geared towards distributing assets in a natural-looking way. This is already fully possible in geometry nodes, and not too difficult for simple things, but this modifier makes
Emmett
it
Smith.
and dead simple to make even complex distributions. Randomized transforms can take those instances, or instances from any other modifier, and add further randomization. The new geometry input modifier is simple and to the point, and it adds or replaces the mesh data of the current object with that of any other object or collection. And lastly, the curve to tube modifier makes nice, evenly
Work
spaced
done. Love that.
tubes out of curves. It
Rodney
uses
Harrison.
rounded caps. What's great about these modifiers is that they're easy for beginners to use, but also can be modified under the hood by more advanced users, as well as used within other geometry nodes modifiers as node groups. It's a real win-win for everybody. In the Boolean modifier, the fast method has been renamed to float to better reflect its functionality. Float in this case meaning the precision of a value in programming
Whoa.
terms and not like hovering. The mesh deform and
Brad
smooth
Johnson.
modifiers now use significantly less memory, have much better undo performance, and can handle denser meshes. The multi-resolution modifier now has a button called Conform Base, which moves the mesh's base vertices to their subdivided positions. You can now remove all particle system modifiers at once in the particle properties tab. Freestyle edge and freestyle face attributes are now just generic attributes that can be used in modifiers.
John Kitna.
A new add operator, lattice deform selected, now surrounds the current selection with the lattice and automatically applies the lattice modifier. This makes simple, non-destructive deformation incredibly quick. And merge by distance now takes the centermost vertex to merge to, which makes situations like this much more tidy. Size and bezel and height mode also got support for automating. And now, for possibly the most anticipated change in this whole release, UV selection has been completely overhauled. Selection sync is now on by default, and selecting a face corner in the UV editor does not also select all the other face
Brian
corners
Greasy.
that share the corresponding vertex.
Ooh, I see an autograph.
Also allows true face selection. Operators now support sync selection mode.
Hussein Muhammad.
In addition to that, you can now pack islands to a custom region that you can set with Control B and clear with Control Alt B or in the UV menu. There's also a new operator for arranging and aligning islands, new options when aligning points, and a new operator for moving the selection by a set distance. You can
Jay
move
Fielder.
the tile in any direction with just a number pad arrow,
Brett Favre.
or by a grid unit with Control number pad arrow, or by a pixel with Shift number pad arrow. And copying mirrored UV coordinates is now faster thanks to being rewritten in C++ instead of Python. In Sculpt and Paint modes, the size, strength, and jitter options now have a customizable curve for tablet pressure. The graph,
Mike Allstott.
modes, boundary thumb, and rotate brushes no longer show a pressure sensitivity toggle since they did not work well when that was enabled, but that will come back again when the issue has been fixed. Undo for Sculpt mode decorations has been optimized, which reduces memory usage by about 10%. Enabling dynamic topology when the mesh has attributes now displays a better warning with the ability
Ricky Waters. Wow.
Texture paint mode got new pixel art.
Curtis Conway and oh, buddy. Oh, John Kitna.
And now let's see what the Grease Pencil updates are.
Damn.
Resident Illustrator Package Engine. Grease Pencil has added more quality of life improvements.
That's such a good card, too.
For version 5.0, there's just a handful, but they will impact the way you work in positive ways. A new pen tool has been added when in edit mode. This will allow you to edit strokes more like a spline editor. Any relevant curve data can now be seen in the Items panel, allowing you to manually tweak properties, such as whether you want the curve to be cyclic or not, or even increase or decrease the resolution of a curve. Corner types for points can be set to round, flat, or sharp.
Last pack.
You can set these on a per point basis or select circles when setting the point type. Setting edit points to curves feels more like curve editing. The colors of points and tangents have been set to reflect this. Support for motion blur on Grease Pencil objects has been added, and it's calculated at render time. However, there's a couple of things to keep in
Ooh.
mind, especially if you're mixing Grease Pencil and meshes.
Curtis Martin. Let's go. Special Curtis Martin.
Also, where a Grease Pencil and mesh objects obscure one another, you might notice a sharp absence of motion blur in this area. Exporting Grease Pencils SVG has been a popular tool. The improvements for this version have added support for if you're converting your stroke points to Bezier, Catmull ROM, or NURBS. The curves will need to be uniform thickness for a clean export, which suggests support for varying thickness might be added at some point in the future.
Marvin Harrison.
I work for CG50 and I want to talk about all the animation and the regional updates. In fact, I want to talk about some of them.
Autograph Marvin Harrison.
As you can see, they don't even fit on the one page. These are the animation ones that I'm
Oh my God, that's massive.
I'm quite excited by the last two there. Right, let's jump in. In the animation, the hotkeys for jumping to the next and the previous keyframes have been flipped. By default, the down arrow is going to jump forward in time, and the up arrow will jump backwards in time. Well, I know this isn't my preference either. But it's
Tyrone Wheatley.
other editors. This is actually part of a two-step plan. Step 1, make it consistent. Step 2, make it a user preference. Step 2 hasn't happened yet, so you can flip that back manually for the time being if you wish. That's what I'm going to do. Working with multiple instances of the same armature is now easier.
because the selection
Marshall Falk, baby.
This means that adding in one instance is not going to affect the other instances. This is a weapon change. The copy global transformers add-on has been removed because it's been shifted inside Core Blender itself.
Curtis Martin, regular.
You can find it in the animation.
Robert Smith, nice.
It's also possible to select cameras from markers simply by control preview. You can also hold shift to extend that selection. Okay, so that fix Wayne Dixon. Right, moving on. All the animation editors now draw the major lines in logical multiples of the current frame. This works nicely, in and out, as you can see, and it makes it really easy to see where the 3 seconds are. This also updates if you change the format. Isn't that nice? Thank you, Blend Adar. The original plan for the timeline editor in Blender 5.0 was for it to be totally removed and replaced with a clicker on the other animation editors, which basically did the same thing. At the last minute, plans have changed and the timeline has survived. But it will begin its journey back to what it originally was, not a fully fledged animation.
That's two.
That's what the other ones are for. So if you're doing small changes, you can use timeline for that. If you're actually doing any big manipulations of keyframes or anything kind of like animation, you use the animation editor for that. So let's take a look at the start of the changes. So what's different with the timeline now? Here you're looking at the old version. Most of the changes are just simple, where this key set has been removed. Under the hood, the summary and the search filters are going to work more as expected, as the dope sheet data no longer leaks into this information. And on the right hand side, this properties tab has been removed. There are likely to be more changes in the future, but this is the start of its new journey. Now let's look at that new footer I spoke of earlier. At the bottom of all of the other animation editors, you'll see the playback controls and all the same features that the timeline has. This is great. And then if you're an animator, you can abandon the timeline like your Microsoft and its Windows 10. In addition to that,
Oh my God, there were two behind that. Charlie Batch and Bruce Smith.
This is awesome. Thank you, Pablo Vasquez. And now in the dope sheet, you can also see the post information. This is another update from Pablo. Also in the new footer, there is a time jump operator. With these buttons here, you can either jump by frames in seconds and set the value. This is 1 second, so when we jump forward or backwards, it's going to be exactly 1 second. Let's go over the frames. Let's make that 10 frames. Now it's going to jump over 10 frames. The shortcut to jump backwards is Control left arrow, and the short to jump forward is Control right arrow. That you need perfectly. There have been a lot of improvements happening to shape keys. In the previous
Oh my God.
the view from objects and update from objects operators, we now have flipped versions of those. So that means if your shape ends with a .L or a .R, it will create or update the flipped version in one click. The old new from mix has been renamed to new combine, and this copy from object is the operator using to copy the active shape key from one object to another. It's also possible to select multiple shape keys at once. This is great. This makes it possible to alt-click and change multiple values at once. All of the other things you would expect to work in this list now actually do. So drop and drag to reorder, yep. F2 to rename, yep. X to delete, yep. Although be careful with that one again. Plus, you notice that you can no longer move your shape up to replace the basis shape. In previous versions, it was way too easy to break the rig this way. Now, if you want to replace the basis shape, you can right-click and choose Make Basis. So now you can't accidentally break your rig. You can break your rig on purpose. There have been 2 changes to weight painting committed by Sean Kim. One of them is the 0 weight has now been changed from the default of none over to active. This is a much better default because it more easily shows you your road vertices. Also, the brush algorithm has been updated to make it easier to paint things back down to 0. Previously, this change you had to spam the button in order to get them completely 0. Thank you, Sean. Volume transform overrides have 2 awesome new features. This is a contrived example, but it will show you how awesome these features are. Let's just say that you have a control bone that is in a different location to your deformation bone. It was already possible to have this widget display at that different location with the override transform option.
That's what I've just done here, and you can see the widget is displayed at that location. Although this is just a visual change, you can still see that the gizmo displays at the true location. And if you rotate, you can actually see that's the pivot point. Now here is the first option, Affect Gizmo. This will visually move the gizmo to the new location while keeping the pivot at that true location. But the Use as Pivot will also move the pivot to that new location as well. This is amazing. Thank you, Christoph. Melvin wants to kiss you on the mouth. Compose yourself now. For the first time in a long time, there has been a new constraint added to Blender. We can thank Cartesian Caramel for the new geometry attribute constraint, which is super sweet with all three axes. This constraint directly samples a vector, quaternion, or a 4x4 matrix attribute from geometry and can apply that to the transforms of what you add the constraint to. So that's an object or a bone. If that sounds cool, yes it is. I'll put a few quick examples. In this example, there's a two-node simulation that's translating a single vertex between different empty objects. And it's also storing a named attribute. That's not the constraint part. The constraint is actually over here on the camera, which is copying the transformation matrix of that vertex. The constraint can sample a vector, quaternion, or a matrix, but it also needs to know the name of that attribute. That's the same name that's being stored by the geometry node setup. We'll look at it go. I want to point out it's the vertex that's moving here, not the object container. Sweet. So this example was using geometry nodes, but you don't actually need to. Here I have a basic monkey head and a plane. I just want the monkey head to follow along with the face. So I'm going to go over to the object constraints and add the new geometry attribute constraint. And I'll choose the plane as the target object. Now, Alt is going to jump to the first point of the vertex, and we can change the index, and it's going to switch to a different vertex. I'll just change this over the face. So what if I want to move the face over here and scale? If I want the monkey to follow along, there is this option here to offset with target transform. Boom. Our monkey head is now following the transformation of that face. The beauty of this is it's a more elegant and accurate way than doing the free vertex changes that we used to do. Plus, it's in constraint mode, so we can add it anywhere in the stack that we like, and that is going to be respected. Sweet. And now you're wondering, does this work with bones? Yes, it does. I'll jump back to the earlier example, where I've just added a single bone. I'll add the geometry attribute bone constraint. I'll choose the target object, which is a single vertex. Now we need to make sure that we type in the same name as the attribute that is being generated by geometry nodes. We do want this one to be a 4x4 matrix. And now this should work. And there you have it. Armatures directly interacting with geometry nodes without a bunch of workarounds. Isn't that great? Now go forward and do some creative things.
With so much geometry node news in Blender 5.0, there's a lot to cover, so forgive me if I don't do a funky intro, but just get straight to it. Starting with what's happened to geometry node sockets, because everything will look a bit weird if we don't get our heads around that one first. The shape of geometry node sockets has always been significant, so what did we already know that we maybe didn't know we knew? Well, in Blender 4.5, they work like this. Circle sockets were for single values. Diamond sockets were for fields. And a diamond with a dot told us that the input can carry fields, but is currently being used with a single value. Because in 4.5, these socket shapes could change depending on what's plugged into them, which is a bit like what happens to my nan when she watches TV news. These rules have served us really well up until now, but in the time since they were filmed,
Oh, yeah, Rodney Harrison.
understanding of what a symbolic socket system could be has evolved. So, Blender 5.0 is a
Work done.
It's an opportunity to simplify the system so it better serves our needs, both now and as a firmer foundation for the features of the future. So first, there's the new vertical bar, a socket monolith. Its stoic rigidity represents an absolute dedication to single values. No ifs, no buts. In contrast, the circle is now the most versatile of sockets, allowing or producing all different kinds of data. The diamond still expects a field or outputs a field, but there's no longer that dotted diamond area. That's been removed because we can tell the status of a field socket from the noodle plugged into it. We know if it's carrying a field if the noodle is flat, and we know it's currently single if it isn't, or if it's posting Instagram stories at 3 a.m. Sockets on nodes simply don't change. Their shapes are now a static symbolic representation explicitly expressing what they expect or generate. This precision now allows for new socket shapes, and we'll get to one in a few minutes. But first, there's also been a change to where you'll see sockets, because menus on some nodes now have them. This means that now they can be controlled not only at a higher level, but as part of the systems that we build. Quite a few nodes have had the socket added, and others will too, though it's not suitable for every node with a menu. Now, in life is tricky, if we only ever had to deal with one menu, but we don't live in a neat utopia. And the more noodles you have, the harder it is to keep track or stay tidy. Enter the new combined bundle node. This, in both geometry nodes and shader nodes, allows us to combine multiple noodles into a bundle. And a bundle is a single noodle of a new type, the bundle type. This can then weave its way to wherever in the node tree you need it to go. A single neat conduit for all the noodles combined inside. When it gets there, plugging it into a separate bundle node creates a socket for each combined noodle so you can release them. If we want to add a new noodle to the bundle, we can still plug it into the combine node. But now we have added a socket, we need to tell the two nodes which one to sync to the other. So syncing the combine node to the separate node deletes our new instances socket. And if plug the instances back in, syncing the separate node to the combine node lets the instances node join its friends. And speaking of joining, no, I'm not talking about my Patreon, you can also join bundles into bundles with the join bundle node. And that's Bundles, a powerful little paradigm shift of a feature designed to help us keep our lives tidy. But it won't if you just shove it in a drawer and never use it. Next, the viewer